Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a full face of dupes. So right now, let me know down below, or just say it to yourself while you're watching the video. What side do you think is what? What side do you think is drugstore? What side do you think is high end? Let me know. I would love to hear y'all's opinions down below. But this is a look I created with basically a full face of dupe products. I am pretty excited, put a lot of effort in this video, a lot of time to figure out each product. So let me know what y'all think below. I will have every product, everything linked down below just in case y'all want to find anything, or if you're interested in the dupe or the higher end version. Everything will be down below just in case you're interested. But I had a lot of fun filming this. I think it was pretty cool just to see how similar things are nowadays in the makeup industry, in the world, and the products they create. It's just pretty cool to see. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get started. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and jump straight into the video. If you made your guesses in the intro of the video, definitely make sure you comment them down below. But our right side is going to be our drugstore side, and then our left side, which is opposite to y'all, my left side will be the high-end side. So for the drugstore side, we're going to do brows first because I always do brows normally before I do any type of eyeshadow. So for drugstore, we will be taking the ColourPop brow gel, and I have this in the shade Dope Taupe. I'm just basically going to comb through my brows, and let's just ignore like this pimple thing I have going on. I don't know. I literally felt it coming up one night and I was like, this is wonderful. Just another pimple. So I'm trying to clear up everything like I am always, but I'm just going to take this pomade and basically line out my brows. I'm sorry if the lighting fluctuates in today's video. It is like insane outside in Texas right now. We had snow not that far from us. It is windy, it's freaking cold, and it's sunny. So I don't really know what the weather is trying to do, but it's pretty insane. And I'm so sad because today's videos are going to be the last videos of my Christmas decor in the background, because in literally like a week or however long it's Christmas, and I'll be out of town for a week in New Mexico. So this video will go up probably after Christmas. So that's why I'm going to be taking it down, which is pretty sad. But I feel like Christmas came so freaking soon this year. It's crazy. So that is one brow done right there with the ColourPop. I'd have to say ColourPop is very creamy, very pigmented, super easy to work with. Like, I never have any problems with it. It's just a very easy pomade. And then the dupe, just in case you already thought this was going to be the Anastasia brow gel, I have it in the shade Taupe, so they actually have like the same name. I'm pretty excited about this. I normally keep mine sometimes in the packaging just because I'm a little extra. But this is what we'll be using for the higher inside. I'm pretty excited. So I'm just going to dip my brush in. They're both very creamy, like I did say. One's not really stiffer than the other. I feel like the formulas are pretty spot on. And we're just going to outline this brow. Okay, so now that that brow is done, tell me, do you see a difference? I really don't see a difference between the two. I believe the ColourPop one is $6 and the Anastasia one is either 20 or a little bit over 20, so you definitely will save some money. Let me know what you think down below, but I definitely, like I said, don't see a difference. And this is only the first dupe, and I feel like it's already so good. So the next dupe for the brows, because I want to go ahead and set them, I have 3, but I'm obviously just going to be using 1. So the drugstore dupe I have for the high-end Benefit Gimme Brow is 2 basic dupes. One you always hear about, which is the Essence Make Me Brow, but I like this one more than the Essence one. This is the Ardell Brow Building Fiber Gel in the shade Taupe. I think this has a better color pigmentation, as more fibers than the Essence one. The Essence one used to be a favorite of mine, and it's still a good brow gel. I just think that the Ardell one for me is probably hands down my favorite, so I will be using this one. And I think there's like a $2 or $3 price difference between the Ardell and the Essence, so it's definitely not breaking your bank still. But I will be taking the Ardell one on the drugstore side and setting brows. And then for the higher end side, I have the Benefit Gimme Brow. This is in the shade 3, and I will just be setting this side. So I went ahead and taped off the eyes just because I really do like a kind of clean, precise line when I do my eyeshadow. And I don't have like an eyeshadow primer dupe for y'all, so I'm just going to apply my Milani eyeshadow primer to my eyes. Okay, so now that everything is primed and ready to go on the eyes, we will start with the eyeshadow. So for the drugstore side of things, we have the ColourPop I Think I Love You palette. This is a really, really pretty palette. Beautiful, kind of more neutral tones. And for the dupe side of things, we have the Anastasia Soft Glam for the higher end side. And it has a pretty similar layout. I mean, they're not identical, but they're pretty dang close. They have a lot of color resemblances also, so I figured this would be a pretty good dupe. This is kind of what they both look like in case you were wondering. So there's definitely some shades in here that I think are dupeable, very close to dupeable. So in the ColourPop palette, we'll be taking this shade right here, which I'm pretty sure is called Bel Air. I could be wrong, but this is the first shade we'll be taking out of the ColourPop one, and I'm not going to do anything dramatic with this eye look. I'm going to keep it pretty plain and simple just because it is neutral palettes and I want to make it an easy look for y'all. So this is what we'll be blending into the crease to begin with. There will be no liner, no lashes either. We will just be going in with some mascara, so pretty beginner friendly. A really pretty brown shade. The only bad part about when it comes to that shade in the ColourPop one, there's not an exact dupe in the Anastasia one. So I am going to mix two colors together to kind of get a closer color to the one in the ColourPop one. So I'm going to take these shades Burnt Orange and Rustic, and I'm just going to mix the two together. Kind of the same effect as the ColourPop one. And as you can tell, I mean, it's pretty similar colors already. I'm taking this shade down here, which I think is called Screw It. This is from the ColourPop palette. And I'm going to be taking this and applying it. I think I kind of want to do a halo eye. So I think what we're going to do, and I'll probably end up switching brushes also, is that we're going to apply this to the outer corner as well as the inner corner. Yeah, I am going to switch brushes, that way I can just have one that is a little bit smaller, easier to use. So still taking the same color. So I'm just basically patting this into the inner and outer corner of our eyes. And then if you're wondering about like the brushes I'm using, I have one of those little like, what are they called? I have the lid in here. They're called the Sephora Color Switch. I'm using one of those in between shades just to clean off the brush, make sure there's no color transfer. So for this side of our eye, we're going to take the shade Cypress Umber from our Anastasia palette. This is pretty dang similar also to the shade from the ColourPop one. And we're going to put this same areas as the ColourPop one. I think the Cypress Umber shade is just a tad bit darker than the ColourPop shade, but I think we're going to go in with a black maybe anyways. And then I'm going to take a duo fiber brush that has no product on it and kind of blend together the creases of both of them. So I'm just doing my color switch before I obviously move on to the eyes, since they're two separate eyes. I've never done a dupes video like this, so every time I go to put like a shade on some eye, I'm like, oh gosh, is that the right eye? Like, I internally freak out because I'm like, oh no, I hope this is the right eye. But that is what we're kind of left so far. Now, as far as the lid shade, I don't know which one I want to use. So I think as far as the center of the lid goes, I want to use more of like this yellowish gold shade, which is Fairy from the Anastasia palette. And this one's called Better Bitter, I believe, from the ColourPop palette. So I will be spraying my brush with some Fix Plus just because I personally like my shadows sprayed with Fix Plus. So I'm going in with the ColourPop one first, and this is kind of like a kind of yellowish golden shade, and we'll be putting this right here on the center of the lid. And then doing my color switch, I'm going to spray the other side of my MAC brush that I'm using. This is MAC 242. And then I'm going to go in with the Anastasia palette, and the shade in here that we will be using is the shade Fairy, which again is pretty dang similar to the ColourPop one. So I'm just picking this up on the other side of my MAC brush and applying that. As you can tell, they're that same kind of yellowish gold shade. Both very, very pretty though. And then I'm flipping my brush over again. I'm just going to re-intensify the ColourPop one. We will be blending our edges out and adding more color, but I just wanted to get down like a pretty good baseline for the center of the lid. So for the ColourPop one, I'm gonna go back in with the same brown shade that we used on the outer V's in the inner corner. And I'm going to blend out the crease a little bit and then re-intensify this part of the inner corner. And then same goes with Soft Glam. I'm gonna take a little bit of the Cypress Ember, making sure I clean off my brush in between shades, the inner and outer corner, blend out the crease a little bit. And I think what I want to do for the ColourPop one is I'm going to take a little bit of the black, which I think is called the shade Let's Do It. I could be completely switching these names around. And I'm taking just a little bit of this and I want to put it on the outer V. I feel like adding the black just makes it a tad bit darker, but I don't want all the browns to just kind of like get washed out with each other. So we're just gonna put that down for a little baseline and then we will go in and blend them out. So using my color switch, I'm not gonna go in with the Anastasia shade, which is called Noir, which is their black in this palette. I swear doing like dupe tutorials like this with videos, with two different eyeshadow palettes is, yeah, that's a little bit difficult, but. And then we're just going to place this same areas that I did with the ColourPop one. I'm not taking this black into the crease though. I definitely don't want to do that. I just want to keep it on the inner and outer part of the eye. And then we're going to go in with the duo fiber brush that we did use. Blend it all together. Kind of blend over the gold and the black shade. And then use the color switch. I freaking love this color switch. Y'all have no idea. It's come in handy a lot, especially when I've used like colors and stuff and I need to use like a brush for a brown, or maybe I've used it for like a green. Like it really helps us to clean off the brush. But we're gonna blend everything out again. And I think I kind of want to stop there. That looks freaking similar. It's kind of weird how similar it looks, honestly. So before I move on to the face though, I don't have like a dupe liner. I just have probably my favorite liners ever. They're from Essence. They're like $2 or $3. This is the Long Lasting Eye Pencil in Black Fever. The gel one is also another one of my favorites. So I'm just going to apply this to my waterline. There's just some things that I refuse to buy a high end of, and it's normally liner and mascara. The only mascara I do like buying high end of is the Better Than Sex one. But that's just because I really like the formula. So that is kind of what we are left with now. I have a little bit of fallout, but I will wipe this away. But we're also going to smoke out the lower lash line quite a bit. So for primer, I have two primer dupes. Y'all may have heard of these, may have not heard of these. But I want to go ahead and put primer down, that way it can soak into my skin. For the drugstore side of things, we will be taking the CoverGirl Outlast All Day Primer, which is under $10, so very affordable. I'm just going to apply some of it right here and then we'll kind of disperse it around. Very nice kind of hydrating moisturizer like primer. You know, it's crazy too, like when you think of like just the dupes between those two eyeshadow palettes. I think the ColourPop one is around $15. Anastasia is like, you know, a little over 40 bucks. So you do save quite a bit of money. Yeah, you get more colors in the Anastasia, but if you're looking from like a financial aspect, the ColourPop one is better. It's just crazy sometimes, like the amount of money between these products. And then for the high-end side, we'll be taking the Too Faced Hangover Primer. This basically is the same thing. The smell is a little bit different, obviously, because this one's more of like a coconut smell, but they do the same thing. They both have that same kind of hydrating factor to it. I will say though, the Too Faced one smells a lot better. Like it just has that nice coconut smell, but I mean, in reality, it's not always about smell. They do the same thing. They are hydrating. I would definitely recommend checking both out if you want something that's hydrating, or maybe if you don't want to spend money on something, definitely check the CoverGirl one out. So now that those are setting in, I really want those to set down. We are going to do the like mascara dupe, I guess you could say. So for the drugstore side of things, I have a mascara that is like basically already been duped like 1,000 times with higher end mascaras, but I still want to do it on my channel. We have the oh so famous L'Oreal Lash Paradise Voluminous Mascara that is supposed to be a dupe for the Too Faced Better Than Sex Mascara. So that is what we will be using today. I'm pretty excited because literally the wands look exactly the same. So I'm just overall excited. I'm a mascara person. I love me a good mascara. So I'm going to apply this on this side of my eye. Hopefully I can do this in frame because I'm literally the worst at putting on mascara in frame. And I'm just gonna zoom y'all in just a little bit. And I'm a die-hard fan of the Too Faced like formula. I really like that formula. This one definitely looks more promising, I'd have to say. I feel like it definitely does have the same volume as the Too Faced one. But I'm gonna put one more coat on. So now what we're gonna do is just go in with the Too Faced Better Than Sex Mascara. Like I said, this mascara is loved. I love this one so much. Same wand, they have really both big fat wands. So I'm going to apply this. So I definitely don't see a difference, like if we're being completely honest. And I feel like the L'Oreal one, I feel like that formula is a little bit easier to work with. Like I feel like the Too Faced one can get pretty dried out and a little bit chunky pretty quickly. I feel like I definitely like the L'Oreal one more, which is great because the L'Oreal one's like $7 or $8. The Too Faced one's over $20. So, you know, mascara goes bad every 6 months. I don't really, you know, go by that rule, but that is what it says. And it's a lot more affordable to repurchase when you do run out. But I have heard that the L'Oreal one dries out quicker, so that's the only bad part. But I definitely don't see a like difference in between the mascaras. If anything, I feel like the L'Oreal one definitely lengthened a lot more. So now we're moving on to foundation, which I'm so excited about. This is new. I feel like this is a new dupe. I haven't seen this foundation duped with at least this foundation yet. So for the drugstore foundation that we're going to use, this is the Catrice HD Liquid Coverage Foundation. This is mattifying, and this is probably one of my favorite foundations. I have it in the shade 030 Sand Beige. This is the drugstore foundation we're going to use. And then the good old thing that is duping is the Fenty Beauty foundation. I swear these are probably literally the same thing. They both have that weird like kind of powdery liquid foundation feel. And the Fenty one I have, I'm the shade 170, and like I said in the Catrice I'm 030, so I hope these match pretty well. But these have very similar formulas, and I'm very excited. I will be using a sponge. I'm just going to use separate sides, obviously. I'm very excited about this. They do have different packaging. The Catrice one has 1.01 fluid ounces, and then the Fenty one has 1.08. So Fenty has just a tad bit more, but nothing dramatic. So for the Catrice one, I'm just going to drop some on the back of my hand. I definitely don't need a lot with this foundation. And I'm going to take the side of my sponge that's already dirty, so I know, and basically just blend this out on the side of my face. I love this foundation. I've mentioned it in videos already. I think I did a wear test with it. I don't remember. And it's probably just because I have oily skin, so anything that is very mattifying but also comfortable, I'm all about. And this one definitely does that. It's mattifying, but it's a very comfortable formula. It doesn't get like too dry on my skin. I swear, trying to separate like your nose and brow area is the hardest thing ever. Literally, it feels like I have no foundation on. The coverage is amazing. Like, it's really great coverage. That's what I'm gonna leave it with right now, just because I really do like the coverage that it gave me on this side. And then now we're going to move on to the Fenty foundation, which I love this foundation. It's a really good foundation, and the color range is just absolutely insane. So I'm gonna take some of this on the clean side of my sponge now and blend this in. Hopefully the color is not too bad. I feel like the Fenty one is going to be a tad bit lighter, but we can always fix that with concealer and bronzer. And I do like using a sponge for these. I feel like because they have that like more powdery matte finish, using a brush for me just doesn't work. I definitely like using a sponge. I'm gonna pump out just a tad bit more. I mean, can't you just tell that they look so similar? It's literally insane. Like it's crazy how similar like drugstore to high-end makeup is. Especially, I mean, not everything is dupeable. Like I get that. Some colors are really hard to dupe, or there's just not like a formula dupe out there for certain things. But like I would say 95% of the time you can find a drugstore dupe for certain things. And like I understand, sometimes I get the same way, like you just want to buy the Too Faced product or you just want to buy the Urban Decay product. Like I get it. I get like that too, but sometimes it's nice to be able to have like a dupe for something that is a little bit more expensive. Let me know what y'all think. This is the Catrice side and this is the Fenty side. So I mean, they literally feel exactly the same. Neither of them are tacky. Both offer amazing coverage. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all see a difference? No? Not really, because I sure don't. Okay, and now moving on to concealer, which this concealer has been basically duped a lot recently, so I'm not like the first person to figure this out, but I will be using the Makeup Revolution and the Too Faced Shape Tape Concealer. So the Makeup Revolution one, I have it in the shade C4. So we're going to apply this to this side of the face. And I'm going to apply about the same amount I do of the Too Faced one. I'm going to do a little bit down the nose, the chin, and then the forehead. And I'm going to blend that out because I know when I do the Too Faced, not the Too Faced, okay. When I do the Tarte one, I definitely like to blend it out right away. So I'm taking the side that I had the Catrice foundation on and I'm blending out my Makeup Revolution concealer right underneath the eye. And then up the nose, I'm just going to blend both of those areas out. And then obviously for the higher end side of things, we will be taking Shape Tape. I'm in the shade Light. And I'm just going to apply some of this. There we go. And there is obviously a pretty big price difference in between these. I believe the Makeup Revolution one has 3.4 milliliters. The Too Faced one has 10 milliliters. A little bit of a difference here. You obviously get more with the Tarte one. So I'm just going to blend this out on the side that I used the Fenty foundation. The only thing I have to say in between these two is I feel like the Tarte one goes a long way compared to the Makeup Revolution one. I feel like you could literally just put like 2 tiny dots of Shape Tape and you could get like farther coverage. I feel like they both do the same thing. I feel like sometimes the coverage is a little bit different, but I feel like no matter what, there's not really a concealer out there that fully dupes the Shape Tape. Like I feel like Tarte definitely like hit the nail on the head with that one. I feel like it's gonna be very hard for other companies to dupe it. And I feel like it is a little bit brighter, so that's really the only thing. Which one I like more? I'm not like one of those people to like, you know, like I can't really figure out which one I like more. To me, they look a little bit more similar. The Tarte one is obviously a lot more brighter. It also could be the shade difference. So obviously the Tarte and Makeup Revolution shades don't match up. So as far as powder goes, now we're going to take the Milani Translucent Light to Medium Loose Powder in 01 on the Drugstore side of things. So I'm just going to take the same side that I used the foundation on and press this on my under eye area. And like literally when I use these Fenty foundations and when I use Catrice foundation, I don't set my whole face really. And I'm an oily person, so that's really like different for me. I don't ever set my whole face simply because the powders itself and the foundations are so powdery. And it really isn't tacky to begin with, so I really only set where I put concealer, simply because normally where I put concealer is where I get oily. That's all I'm going to set, and as you can tell, it just made it really smooth, kind of evened out every area, and I really like the Milani powder. And then what we will be duping with the Milani powder is the Cover FX Loose Powder. I have this in Translucent Light. So the one thing I like about the Cover FX one is it has like this little pull-up stopper, so it makes it a little bit easier when it comes to getting product out. So the same thing, I will just be setting the area that we put the concealer down. Now I know the Milani one does have a little bit of a tint to it, The cover of X1 does not, but again, they both do the same thing. And that is going to be it with the face like base part. What do y'all think? I mean, do they look exactly alike? I definitely feel like they do. I mean, you literally can't see a difference. At least for me, I cannot see a difference at all. And it just amazes me. Like, there's so many good drugstore products out there that sometimes just get overlooked. But we're gonna finish up the lower lash line real quick. And on a flat definer brush from the ColourPop palette, I'm going to take this shade on the bottom that we duped with the Cypress Umber. And I'm going to push that on the lower part of my lash line. And then taking Cypress Umber on that same brush. And then I'm going to take a fluffy brush and take the first shade that we used, which was like this lighter shade in the ColourPop palette. And I'm going to buff out my lower lash line. I'm switching between palettes because the Anastasia one has a mirror. That's another thing I like, but I'm just buffing this out. And then in the Anastasia one, I'm mixing the burnt orange shade with just a tad bit of rustic again. And that is pretty much going to be it for the eyes. And then we will highlight the inner corner and brow bone with our face highlighter. So that's going to be done with the eyes. I do need to apply some lower lash mascara though. I don't have a dupe for lower lash mascara just because I normally stick to these two and that's it. The Pixie one is my absolute favorite. I've already repurchased it, and then the Wet n Wild one is another great favorite of mine, but I will be using the Pixie one today to apply some mascara down there. Okay, so as far as bronzer goes, I will be taking like 2 different brushes. So for the drugstore side of things, I almost said high-end, but drugstore side of things, we're going to be taking the number 7 bronzer. This is in the shade Golden Sands, and I'm going to take this on a big duo fiber brush, but the color we will be duping is the Too Faced bronzer, and this is in the shade Milk Chocolate Soleil. So this is what we will be doing. So I'm going to take the number 7 one first, and I'm going to be using 2 separate brushes for this, but we're going to bronze up this side of the face. And then we're going to be taking a different brush with the Too Faced bronzer. They both have that same kind of more orangey terracotta undertone. So that's one thing I found similar with both of these. So that's the bronzers right there. Like I said, I can't tell the difference. They both have that same undertone. And then blush, we will be taking on the drugstore side the Milani blush. This is in 01 Romantic Rose. And then we will be taking the Tarte blush in the shade Exposed. I swear these literally look exactly the same, like same undertone, same cool pinky undertone. So I'm going to be taking 2 separate brushes for this also. So I'm just going to take a little bit of the Milani one. Nice little wash of color. And then we will be taking the Tarte one on a different brush. And there we go, blush is done. I didn't want something like too pigmented, so I feel like those colors were really pretty and complemented themselves. Now as far as highlight, this is where it was kind of hard because I wanted to dupe something very specific. I wanted to dupe the Anastasia Amorese highlighter just because this was a limited edition. I think it just became released again for the 2nd time, but I know it's not a permanent thing, so I wanted to find a dupe for this. I found 2. They're pretty dang close. So I want to go ahead and apply the like Anastasia one. I need to find my other highlighting brush. So I want to go ahead and apply the Anastasia one just so I can have that down to show you guys comparison to the other one. I love the Anastasia Amorese highlighter. Like, they definitely should make this permanent. So this is what the Anastasia one looks like. Just in case you've never seen it before, it's a really, really pretty kind of icy shade. And then I also need to highlight the brow bone and the inner corner with it. So inner corner and brow bone. So now I have 2 dupes. So I have this loose ColourPop highlighter. This is their Strobe Globe loose highlighters in the shade Luster Dust, which is really freaking similar. Like, I mean really similar. And then I also have the Flower Beauty highlighter palette, which again is very similar also, but the one shade that's similar out of here is this one gold shade right here. So they're all pretty close, but I think the one that's closest is the ColourPop one. And besides, I don't want y'all to have to purchase like the Flower Beauty palette for one shade. So I definitely think that the ColourPop one is the way to go if you want a better dupe for it. This ColourPop highlighter is pretty pigmented. So that is kind of what the Anastasia one looks like there. So now we're going to apply the ColourPop one. So as you can tell, see how the ColourPop one has that same kind of like white icy finish? And then look at the Anastasia. They're really similar, and I swear I just can't even believe sometimes the difference. But I think they're pretty close. What do y'all think? I mean, this was the best dupe I could find in my collection to dupe the Anastasia, and like I said, that's the one I really wanted to dupe. So we're going to apply this to the inner corner. I mean, they even look similar for the inner corner. It's literally crazy. Okay, and then that is going to be it for face highlight. Proud of myself with that one because I took some major swatching. And then as far as lip goes, I have two Drugstore like dupes for them, but the high-end version, which I want to go ahead and put on, is the Too Faced Melted Chocolate in the shade Chocolate Milkshake. So I'm going to apply this just to one side of my lip, which is going to be kind of weird, but and then the dupe I have for this is two ColourPop, like their Ultra Luxe lippies. I have this shade Quickie, which is pretty dang similar. And then I have the shade Appy, which again is pretty similar. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna apply the shade Quickie first. So there's definitely just a little bit of a color difference. Quickie is a tad bit lighter, so I'm gonna take a little bit of Appy. And I think that's going to be it because that is pretty close also. Like you can see there's a little bit of a color difference with the Too Faced one, but it's pretty dang similar. So that is basically my full face of dupes. What do y'all think? I mean, what did you think when I was applying everything? What do you think now that you see everything on my face together? I mean, what are your thoughts? Definitely let me know down below. If you want me to do another one of these videos in the future, let me know so I can start looking for new products now to do. Everything will be linked down below. Let me know what y'all think. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and I will see you guys later. Bye y'all.